but I do like the 2018 Optic Hollow, and I feel that that is a really good gold standard for Josh Allen.
Extending, and able to find Stephon Diggs.
It's gold. It's gold, baby. Gold is hot. Gold is hot.
Anything where there's a winner or a loser. His Hurts going for the end zone. It's caught.
And I love the 2004 Topps design right here, man. This 2004 Topps Chrome, that same rookie year as Larry Fitz. I guarantee you someone would reach $130 on this Gabe Davis if he puts up another game in a primetime scenario. We talked about the first Thursday night game against the Rams. Gabe Davis goes off for anything like he did in the AFC Championship game. Are you kidding me? Of course, they're going to reach for this card.
Fires it into wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown. Buffalo.
Right now, his 2018 Optic Hollow is $125 raw compared to Josh Allen's at $500. That's a big difference there, Steve, considering that Lamar Jackson had the season that he did.
Lamar Jackson pocket collapsing. He's going to dart. He's going to run inside the 5. Jackson in for the touchdown. Oh, kind of quick by Lamar Jackson.
I know that that's your boy, so I had to share.
Heck yeah, man. The Mississippi mustache, dude. I'm going to be looking for him in like the 20th round of this draft.
Bushu with time, directing traffic. Now fires middle of the field. Caught. First down, Jacksonville.
Brady only has like 135 different rookie cards made for him, whereas Patrick Mahomes has close to 2,000.
He throws this ball from his shoestring around the guy. That's unreal.
Look at Tua now climbing up in the past 7 days. His growth in buy it now, sold volume and graded cards on eBay is up 70%.
It's by the New England team. Tua first and 10 going deep. And one out catch is made by Waddle.
And with Rookie Ticket Auto, there's fewer cards in this set for Joe Burrow.
And now he fires downfield to Jamar Chase. He's got it. Wow. Takes all the way.
It's a first down. We got 1:20 seconds left. Y'all boys gonna play Madden?
It's numbered out of 25. 25 out of 25. It's Gronk doing the Gronk spike. Signature moves. Look how sick that is.
Got it for the touchdown.
T-minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
Now, at the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go.
That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Tyreek Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all have some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it right
2,
here.
1, 0.
What's up, everybody? It's Thursday night, and you guys know what that means. It is the Football Card Quest coming back at you, talking all things football and football card related. all day, every day. Investors, collectors, whoever you are, we've got your questions live. If you're out there in the chat, drop them in the chat. Not only do we've got members of the community dropping chances to snipe cards tonight live. We're going to be pulling up eBay in just a moment, so be sure to keep your eyes out for that. We're going to be talking about the best 2022 running backs, 2021 quarterback futures, some potential booms and busts, the battle of vertical versus horizontal cards, and more. But first, how's it going, Steve?
Good evening, Andy. Good evening, everyone out there. I hope you're ready to talk some football. Everyone, I'm sure, had a long day at work, enjoying that nice summer heat. All it does is get me warmed up and ready for football.
Yeah, I feel like the joints are very warmed up, very loose. I attempted to mow my yard this afternoon, and my gas-powered lawnmower has broke down, and so I've got a battery-powered one, and it's miserable because the battery, especially with how fast the grass is growing, how thick it is right now, only lasts like 15, 20 minutes. And I'll tell you what, man, it's so hot out there. My kids were playing in the sprinkler, and I was literally like, normally I'm like, no, don't get me wet. I got my phone, got this, got that going on. Today I was like, hit me with the hose, hit me, please.
Your contribution is to soak me while I cut the grass.
Yeah, I needed it bad, man. It's so hot. But we got the AC going tonight, guys. I'm ready to dig in. But, of course, guys out there in the chat, let's see who has turned out so far. AB in the house, 402 Collector. Appreciate you, bro. Filthy Collector, what's going on, man? We got your question. Bob Graff, what is good? Boggy, Derek Richard. Yeah, guys, exciting news released from Underdog Fantasy today. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. A new best ball format just opened up, so we're really excited about that. We've got a lot of live stream news for you coming up. LOB Roses, Brooke in the house. Billy T. Gabe Davis is here. I'm glad you turned out again, Gabe. We're going to be talking about some of the best running backs this year and potentially quarterbacks. You might be looking for a team change, man. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's good to see you, Gabe Davis.
Yeah, we're pretty honored to have such a distinguished guest in the chat today. And, I think it's important that he probably knows by now that we're pretty high on him for this season. So let's keep supporting our community as well as Gabe, who's new to the chat.
That's right, man. Got Perry Collectibles over there. Got Messiah MVP, Billy T, Filthy Collector. Let's see if did I miss? Oh, can't forget about Annoy 1. RIP. Pour some out for Tony the Goose Siragusa. Yeah, man, that definitely got to pour some out for him. I think I got everybody. I'm gonna be sure if you guys drop any snipes, any questions in the chat, be sure to drop them. Got Shant back from Spain in the house. Glad to have you back, brother. Let's see what we got on the docket for tonight.
Let us go.
Let's do it.
I got a couple of snipes saved for later in the show.
Awesome, man.
QBs, couple defensive players even.
Ooh, that sounds spicy. I like defensive players. I bought a big defensive player card the other day. I'm excited to share that in the upcoming mail day. And our first question is about position players, man. It is very much, and this is an interesting topic because it's something that Panini does not do good in the market, but we're going to talk about it anyways because, we have a lot of fantasy implications, a lot of fantasy-related content that we talk about on the site that can be used in the football card market. And the question is from Filthy Collector on our Patreon Discord server. And he wants to know, besides the big two of Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker III, which of the other 2022 running backs do you think could stand out next year?
All right. I got two for you.
What do you got?
And I think that obviously after those two guys, there is a bit of a drop-off as far as expected value, but there's definitely value. And a couple of these guys do have paths to a starting gig, if not maybe even starting the season as the starter. I'll start with Tyler Algier.
Oh, Tyler Algier.
Tyler Algier is with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
As you may or may not know, that did release Mike Davis in the offseason. And when you really look at the roster, his main competition is going to be Cordell Patterson, but talking about a guy that is going to be playing multiple positions as well as wide receiver. So he could end up being like your first, second down go-to guy, where Patterson might end up being like the third down guy if they move him from receiver. So I think that he's actually got a chance to either be in like a 50-50 timeshare or even like 60-40.
Yeah, I do think I could see that. I'm not like too crazy. Like nothing's really jumping off his page at me, but I think it's like he's going to get a lot of opportunity this year, right? And it's, especially if they need to rely on somebody. I think he could definitely be like a guy, especially at the right value. If you can get him super dirt cheap, this is a guy that could definitely have some opportunity, get some opportunity in the offense. I'm just not like, I'm not bullish about him, being very dominant in the NFL. Not, I'm not expecting him to be Jonathan Taylor. Like obviously his measurables, his college production, nothing like that in his profile screams that he could, although he does have an 84th percentile college dominator from BYU. So
he's got, and he's got good size. He was taken a bit late, 5th round, but 5'11", 221.
Yeah, he's thick.
That's a damn good size for a running back, especially some guy that's going to maybe tote the ball 20 plus times a game.
He's thick. All right. I got a guy for you that I cannot wait to invest in. And this is a challenge, right? Panini needs to do more Panini Instant, where they instantly take a picture of the player at a rookie premier signing event, put him on a card, get the daggum autograph, serial number this thing, and put it out there so people can invest in it. Right now, all we got is Bowman U. Tyler Algier may not even be in Bowman U. Breece Hall's not in Bowman U. Kenneth Walker is. So it's like, that set is kind of all over the place. If they're in there, I am targeting their autographed or refractor cards. If they're not, then like this guy I'm going to talk about, Rashad White on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really like Rashad White. I like his profile a lot. If you ask Carter, he was his number 2 running back coming out of college in this draft class. And the Bucs got him in the 3rd round. So he had some decent capital spent on him. He does run a 4.4, 4.48 to be exact. He is 6 foot 214, Steve. So bigger, stronger, faster. And he had a almost 20% target share at Arizona State. He's a little bit older, actually, 23.5, but 87 percentile college dominator, 98 percentile college target share, and he plays for the Bucs now. So, Lombardi Lenny, yes, he's going to be the number 1 go-to guy, but he is getting older. He's not like going to handle a bell cow load. And I think Rashad White, from the press conferences that I've seen him in, his mentals are stronger than Keyshawn Vaughn. And I think he's physically more dominant than Keyshawn Vaughn. And I think that he's got a better receiving profile. So he is going to probably win out the RB2 spot ahead of Keyshawn Vaughn, if I had to take a guess. I think Giovanni Bernard is still going to get, some little stuff here and there, 3rd down stuff, because we re-signed him for another year. But I think Rashad White is going to get some opportunities. And if, God forbid, anything happened to Lenny, Rashad White could have a significant role with some really nice production.
And not just that, a lot of times we get caught thinking in the here and now. But who knows? The reason Fournette stuck around is mainly because of Brady, if you ask my opinion. And if Brady decides to hang it up after this year, does Lenny request a trade? So then you'd have a situation where, hey, now this guy slots up with very little competition. And, him and Keyshawn Vaughn could be like a 1-2 punch. Who knows what the timeshare would be. But, yeah, the guy's got good measurables, and I do like it. I think he's a good receiver as well.
Yep. So you got another guy for us?
I do. And you probably know this name. I was complaining during the live draft when we were watching it that he went as late as he did, but it's Damien Pierce.
Houston Texans running back from the University of Florida. I like this profile as well. He didn't get a ton of mileage on his wheels either in college, but he was a very powerful runner, and he goes to a backfield on the Texans he's basically competing against Marlon Mack, right? I mean, I think he's going to get significant opportunity this year, and he can absolutely – you look at that yards per carry, solid 5.7, especially when playing for an SEC school, University of Florida. So overall, I think he's got a really good shot. 88th percentile BMI, so really solid.
If you look at how Mac was used down the stretch before his last 2 seasons, where he only played 7 games over the last 2 years, he was used a lot, within the goal line area. And if you actually look at 2019 to his rookie year, 2017, he played 14, 12, and 14. So he does miss time. And in the last 2 seasons, like I said, he only played 7 total games over the last 2 years. So even if Damien isn't a timeshare with him, there's for sure going to be at least a handful of games where he might just start 100%.
That's very true. Like if Mac goes down with an injury, obviously Mac came back from a torn Achilles. It is important to know that Damien Pierce was a 4-star recruit. So I think it's pretty interesting. He became the leading rusher for the Gators in 2020, going for 503 yards, 4 touchdowns. So I mean, all-purpose skill set. So I think, at the Senior Bowl, it also looked like his running style had more finesse than the other invitees. He disappointed a little bit at the combine. He could be had at a value at some point this year, especially on the Texans, who are probably going to have a well below average win-loss record this year, Steve. So I think that makes for an interesting sleeper play right there.
And, with both guys that I covered, they do come with a low draft capital. So the window to invest in them is going to be a bit more open than some other guys.
I dig it. Yeah, I want to talk about James Cook for a second on the Buffalo Bills, but not from the perspective that I think right now James Cook is being overdrafted. I think James Cook is going a little bit too high. His ADP is a little bit too rich for my blood, especially with some of the other players that are out there. I think at this point, James Cook is even being drafted ahead of Devin Singletary in some cases. I've seen people actually drafting James Cook ahead. I know it's crazy. And so I think he
heavily disagree with that one. As bad as Singletary burned me in our draft last year, I'm still going to disagree. I mean, when they actually decided to run the ball, he was super effective.
Yeah, he was super effective. He's getting a lot of high value opportunities. And I think that people just automatically assume that James Cook is going to be as explosive and be just like his brother, right? But he's not just like his brother.
Let's not forget that Tiki and Peyton Barber are related, and there's a distinct drop-off in production between the two.
That's a very good point. So, just wanted to mention him in the conversation because I've got a lot of these guys pulled up. Another one that's very interesting is Brian Robinson, who's like kind of a in between the tackles grinder, best comparable to Gus Edwards on the Washington Commanders, another team we probably expect to have below a 500. They get Carson Wentz from the Indianapolis Colts. They also drafted Jahan Dotson. You got Terry McLaurin right now, not at OTAs, not at minicamp. He's holding out. So that situation's uncertain because Terry McLaurin's looking at the deal Christian Kirk got. He's like, you get the Jacksonville Jaguars paid Zay Jones how much, and y'all ain't going to renew my contract. They're like, he's like re-sign. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's been a top 10 wide receiver. He just hasn't had a quarterback to actually feed him the ball accurately enough. Heineke was terrible last year in deep throws to McLaurin. It was just insane. Like I remember cringing watching Heineke throw the ball to McLaurin, thinking he's going to get this guy hurt. But they bring Brian Robinson. There's another draft pick. It's like, why are they drafting Brian Robinson when you've got one of the most explosive, best athletic profiles running backs on your squad in Antonio Gibson? But I think they drafted him because Antonio Gibson played most of last year with a fractured shin, and he wasn't able to handle a huge workload last year. He is very explosive. He's very powerful. They also brought back, I don't remember if you remember, hopefully I get his name right, J.D. McKissick.
Mm-hmm.
J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, he actually signed and then the deal got waived or something.
He signed with the Bills and then bailed out on the deal like within the 48 hours that you have to bail out on a contract, came back to Washington. Because Washington's like, we don't know where you're leaving, man. We'll match that money or whatever. And so he came back to Washington. Obviously, Washington, the team, the owners, and all kinds of other hot water. But what do you think about Brian Robinson fitting into this team this year?
I think pending an injury, it's just a little too crowded already because both guys ahead of him as of right now are both really good receivers. So I would say I'm not sure where they're going to utilize him the most. You already have McKissick cutting into Gibson's receiving work. And I mean, do they just bring him in near the goal line? It's hard to say, but I think that he's probably a guy that might not see a lot of the field until A, someone gets hurt, or B, in the offseason if someone moves on somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. Let's move on to Tyrion Davis-Price. Now, this guy went to LSU. I talked to Carter about him before. He got third-round draft capital. It is important to kind of mention that the running back that San Francisco drafted last year, Elijah Mitchell, had sixth-round draft capital, although he did break out this past year. He showed to be very explosive. He's like the new age Raheem Mostert for Kyle Shanahan. Man, hit that gap, ran upfield, had some really explosive games, also got banged up quite a bit. They bring in Tyrion Davis-Price, not as fast, but still fast. I think it is important to note that Tyrion Davis-Price does run a 4.48. So it's 82nd percentile speed, which makes him a 90th percentile height-adjusted speed score at 6'2", 219. And according to Carter, Tyrion Davis-Price is also a very good pass blocker. So I know that may not be so important for Trey Lance. I'm not sure that we don't have 100% clarity on what that quarterback situation looks like. We think it's going to be Trey Lance. Steve, what's your take on the 49ers backfield right now with Tyrion Davis-Price?
I did read a few articles where they were actually saying that he looks like he could shape up to be a timeshare with Elijah Mitchell. So that's something to keep an eye on. And you have to take articles like that seriously when it's the Niners, when they have been known to deploy 2, 3, or even 4 running backs on game day. So something to keep in mind. I still think that at least for now, Elijah Mitchell is going to be the safer play. He's got a track record. He did miss a little time last year, but as a rookie, it's hard to say that that's a trend yet, just because it happened once. But I mean, this guy is a dart throw late in the draft in your fan. If you're doing a redraft league, you may want to consider him as a handcuff unless there's someone better available.
I like him because, like the 49ers like to run the ball, and they did spend third-round capital last year as well as sixth-round capital on Elijah Mitchell on Trey Sermon. And Trey Sermon suffered a significant injury, missed most of the season, and then he got a concussion, and he missed more games. So Trey Sermon was just riddled with injuries. But Trey Sermon is not as fast. I think they were hoping Trey Sermon could have been that guy, but Trey Sermon ran a 4.61 on his pro day, and noted to have a 32nd percentile height-adjusted speed score. And I think that they've come to the realization that Trey Sermon is not going to be able to run those same stretch zone run plays that Kyle Shanahan likes to deploy in San Francisco. Elijah Mitchell can, but he's not like the most sturdy of guys, just like Raheem Mostert. Tyrion Davis-Price is faster. He may be able to hit those plays, and he may be able to split the load with Elijah Mitchell. So I definitely think that Tyrion Davis-Price slots in and more of as an RB2 in that offense over Trey Sermon, Jeff Wilson, and Kyle Juszczyk, which I guess Kyle Juszczyk is a fullback. So
I think one thing it'd be good advice. If you guys remember early last season or preseason last year, Trey Sermon cards were selling for a pretty penny for a guy that at this point may never see a starting gig ever again. So just something to be wary of with when you're looking at running backs. You don't want to overpay for a lack of proven ability, because as we know, college production doesn't equally translate into pro production. And again, a guy that we're talking about will maybe have a role or probably have a role versus maybe be like the guaranteed bell cow. So you don't want to overinvest. Definitely say make some safe investments, make some low level investments early on, but just know the Trey Sermon effect can happen.
Yeah, and I get why people did it, right? There, so many running backs have been successful in the Kyle Shanahan system. They also have a very good offensive line, very good run scheme. So it's like Kyle Shanahan has this reputation for developing running backs and making them break out. And so people just hit on the wrong one early. And unfortunately, Elijah Mitchell didn't get the draft capital for Panini to say, yeah, we're going to put you out of the gate in the Origins, the Gold Standard, the Black set, those kind of sets that come out super early in the season that hopefully they have their act together going into the season and we get something better than Sage. I imagine that Tyrion Davis-Price is going to be printed in the Leaf metal draft, that auto product that's getting ready to print. Select Chronicles. Select is getting ready to come out with a draft pick set, Steve, that I think is going to do pretty well. It's going to have the same exact Select design as 2021 Select that's getting ready to be released. And then 2022 Prism draft picks should also have him in there. Those are kind of the two main sets that I'm looking to probably buy some Tyrion Davis Price, as well as any of these guys we talked about tonight. You know, those are going to be the two sets that I feel are going to be the most liquid. Maybe the Bowman U first refractor with an autograph. I'm still like not trusting Bowman U to be liquid outside of the big kahunas, the super short print serial number cards, and the autograph cards. I'm not trusting their base, even their base Bowman U refractors, unless it's like Kenny Pickett. I wouldn't really trust them to be that liquid and like appreciate in value once these other sets come out.
And it's worth noting too that I don't have the release dates in front of me, but we're still quite a few sets away from seeing pro uniform cards. When you have the score usually comes out first, and that's kind of like your entry level set. You'll have a ton of veterans in there, a ton of defensive players. You'll have rookies, but they'll all be in college uniforms. And then you'll have like the Donruss Elite, which I think Donruss Elite's a really fun set. The problem is the rookies in there have their college uniforms on still, but there's at least a pro team logo on the card. So it's like a halfway in between. And then you still have a little time after that till the next main set comes out. I can't remember which one is third, but the one after that should have pro uniforms.
Yeah, and like this one's coming out July 1st. So this is going to be your first like big opportunity that Panini is going to print based on draft pedigree, right? They're going to print more Kenny Pickett's, and they're going to print more of the first and second round guys, more of the Chris Olaves, more of the Drake Londons, Breece Halls, all these guys that didn't get printed in Bowman. Like Bowman, you missed a lot of players, to be honest with you guys. The Chronicles is going to be printed based on draft pedigree. They're probably not going to print Mr. What was it called? The last guy of the draft? Not
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. They're not going to print Mr. Irrelevant in this set. They're not going to print Mr. Irrelevant until he becomes irrelevant. Then they'll go back next year and say, oh, yeah, that guy was good. People want to collect his cards. We better print a card for him, you know?
You know what's interesting about Chronicles, and I know everyone has mixed feelings about it. I think it's a cool concept, but what you end up with is basically a lot of duplicates of the same guys from the same sets because there's kind of a limited card pool. And they're all college uniform cards. So unless that's your thing, it's not really a sound long-term investment. But I mean, there are some cool cards out of it. Like you see the Spectra and the optics, and you might have a couple Clearleys in there too. So it's cool that you get like a little sample of like the cards that are coming out this year and a little preview of the designs. But as far as long-term collectability or investability, I should say, is not really there with that.
Not really there with that. So I'm going to go back to the release calendar real quick just to show you guys. So you got that Chronicles set, which is going to have a mixed bag of stuff. The 2021 Chronicles is then coming out July 13th. And then I'm looking for 2022. Yeah, this is what I want to look at. 2022 select draft picks. I think this is going to do pretty well for 2022 speculating, because it is licensed and it does at least have logos and names and the school name that they went to. And it's going to have some interesting designs. It's going to have that field level look. It's going to have the premier look. It's going to have the base concourse look from the sets this year. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I think that the rare ones are going to do well. They're going to be liquid for people to invest in, potentially make a profit if they break out. Then Optic, July 20th. Leaf Ultimate, I think, is an interesting one. Leaf takes a lot of pride in their product. This also is a hobby box of one pack of 5 cards, but it's only $120, and all 5 cards are autographed. So you get 5 cards of 2022 rookies that are all autographed. This could very well be worth it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that all rookies only, Andy?
It should be, yeah. It's a perfect mix of exciting 2022 NFL draft picks and the hottest names in NIL. So it could be some juniors as well. Hey, which is not bad. Like if you pull a Kayshawn, you pull a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, some of these guys for draft class next year, you could be in really good shape for that, to sell on draft night next year. So that's another one. And then 2022, let's see, Select coming out later, July, Legacy. There's 2022 Panini Legacy. That one may have some pro uniforms. So I'm not sure. Doubt it, but it's possible. Legacy doesn't typically do very well, though.
So what month is that one there?
This is July 27th.
Legacy has some cool looking cards, but you're right. It doesn't really command the same interest level as some of the other sets do.
No, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going. And you know what they moved? I think it's going to be college uniform. They moved out Prism draft picks all the way out, man, to August. I think that's crazy. This one used to be in June. Now it's in August 3rd. They moved Prism collegiate draft picks. Trying to capitalize on that preseason hype for.
So that 2021 right there, that's going to be from the year before's draft class still.
Oh yeah, man. It's crazy, right?
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. A year late, so they're going to be releasing it around the same time as 2022. But hey, we digress. Just the world we live in. Let's check out. Let's see. So let's check out some of these questions in the chat. Let's peel off to a question in the chat. We got a snipe from James. He directed us at Sean because of Jonathan Taylor 2020 Panini National Treasures rookie field pass auto 14 out of 25 NRMT. I'm going to pull this up because this parlays perfectly into the next question that we have, and it is, Steve, about. So I'm going to ask you this question and pose this question to everybody out there in the chat. And if you guys are just joining in, make sure you hit a live button on the live stream. If you're enjoying this live stream tonight, guys, we really appreciate you supporting the quest, supporting the channel. And if you're not already, subscribe if you like this content so you don't miss out on any more in the future. This next question is from, let's see, who is it from? There it is. Ray Finkel from Discord. Do horizontal cards inherently have a lower value than vertical ones? And if so, why?
I've only seen a couple instances where it's more than marginal. I would say it's not a massive gap, but there's definitely a preference that you can tell on vertical cards. And I think for a lot of it just has to do with aesthetics. You look at a top loader. I mean, even look at the display behind you. All the card slabs are stacked neatly, vertically, right? And if you had a horizontal one, then are you now displaying it? Is it taking up the room of 3 different cards, or are you going to make a new shelf for all horizontal cards? So I think that does play a small role in desirability. But I mean, for the right card, I think that it should be pretty close in value.
It should be pretty close if it gets super rare. This one, though, is going well undervalued for what I would think that a National Treasure numbered out of 25 Jonathan Taylor would go for, which is closer to that like $300 to $500 range. We'll keep an eye on this one, guys. This one's going to be ending tonight on the live stream. Shout out to James. Appreciate you, brother, for sharing this because at this price point, that is really nice. But I do notice that horizontally formatted cards are not quite as desirable, Steve, and this is my take on it. And I pulled a few of them up here. Okay, the first one being a Cooper Cup rookie ticket auto. They print a lot of horizontally formatted rookie ticket autos in 2017. And if you look at the price difference here, and I'll kind of give you my reasoning why. But here's a horizontal one that ended for $105. All right, best offer accepted. And here's a vertical one that was a best offer accepted at $225. I pulled up the horizontal one at 105, the vertical one at 210. Oh, wow. And then you can see another one that was April 20th at 220. And my thought is because of this right here. So here's the Josh Allen vertical or horizontal card that is placed vertically so that they can fit it in a nice little the format is 4x3 or 16 by 9. Like if you're looking at the aspect ratio, or actually no, 9 by 16. Shoot, I don't know. It's what so basically it's not widescreen. It's a vertical panel to get it in the eBay listing, right? If it's a horizontally formatted card, you have all this extra space on the top and the bottom. It doesn't look as aesthetic. And when you put it in a slab, Steve, you have a decision to face. Do you put your card sideways, like you're talking about on the wall, and have the grade facing right, and the numbers on the grade facing right, and the grading company logo facing up? Or do you put it sideways? And I pulled up another one so you could see, and these go, or do you have it like this? You have the card facing up, and now all your grades are sideways.
I've definitely done a couple horizontal cards that way. I think that's the way. I mean, you can clearly still see the grade in the grading company, but I think what sells the card is the design of the card itself. And in that way, you want to display it the most visually pleasing way, which is this way. That's my take.
Yeah, but you're forced with this dilemma. It's not like smooth. It's not clean cut. Like even shout out to Carson Cruz. We had Carson Cruz from Pure Graded X in the house, in the chat. What's going on, man? Welcome to the live stream. It looks like he has got a horizontally formatted slab, which is cool, but still, you're right, Steve. That's going to take up twice as much room on my wall, and it's just it's atypical from the other cards. So these cards just don't do quite as well. There is definitely a little, you have to like dock the card a little bit for being horizontally formatted. I looked at another one like this one, and now this does have that light green and white ugly CSG slab.
Yeah.
but still, I mean, you're just faced with such a terrible dilemma when you slab up horizontal cards that like this is a big reason I think why people will choose to go with a vertical card over the horizontal.
Andy, I think that makes for a little bit of a good sneaky hobby tip. If you're PCing certain players, right? Cut yourself a little shelf and buy a bunch of horizontally slabbed cards and just line them up. And you can get cards like these, like the National Treasures or Immaculates at a reduced price. That might be a good play.
And they're PC items, so you send them to Pure Graded X, you get a nice little color match slab and a horizontally formatted slab, and you're good to go. So
love it. I love it.
That's a very interesting take, but I think that's kind of the move. That's kind of the move you have to make with the horizontally formatted cards there. So next question, Steve, is from Reading, Preaching, Teaching. I see you guys out there in the chat. I've got some questions starred, so I'm going to get back to them. I figured out how to star your questions so I don't miss. You guys just keep chatting, commenting, and dropping your snipes in the chat, and I will get to your questions here after another one of these. And this is from Reading, Preaching, Teaching from the YouTube community page. What is the best strategy for bidding on eBay auctions? And you came to the right place, Reading, Preaching, Teaching, because we have got the hitman, the eBay hitman himself. This guy is infamous at sniping auction. Nobody better in the business. This guy right here. So you're in the right spot.
I've got a little experience with that. I've helped a couple people in the Discord and Andy and taught myself along the way. And I think there's definitely two different ways. And the first we're going to talk about is you actually being present for the end of the auction, which I would recommend. Putting up your target price at the very last moment. And there is a little reasoning behind that. It's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire. And you do bid against people that kind of have maybe a little bit competitiveness to them. Maybe they just want the card really bad or whatever the case is. But the sooner you place a bid, the sooner someone gets a notification that they've been outbid and can then re-outbid you. Since we have cell phones and tablets and stuff like that, you do have people getting notifications that they've been outbid instantly, and they're going to come back with their counter bid. Right now, if you were to wait till the last moment to place your top bid, it kind of creates that little sense of secrecy, if you will, and it also doesn't necessarily guarantee you the card, but it does limit the odds of a rebuttal. So unless someone has a max bid in previously higher than yours, then there won't really be a chance for someone to rebut or get into a bidding war with you. The last thing you want is someone to just be like, you know what, screw this guy, I'm winning this card. Because there's people that will overpay just to win. I mean, we've all been there. I've done it a few times just out of sheer heat of the moment. And you don't really want to get in a heat of the moment bidding war. You want it to be sound and logical, and you want to have a set price in mind. So I would definitely recommend waiting till the last moment. Now, if you cannot be physically present for the end of the auction, just put in a price that you're willing to pay, that you're comfortable with, in as late as you can, whether that's an hour before auction end or even like 8 hours before.
Yeah, great point, Steve. Because like the last thing you want to do is lose out on an auction because you didn't swing the bat at all, right? You can't hit a home run if you don't swing the bat. Just like that Elijah Moore orange disco that we saw just end for under $5. Elijah Moore.
I will say this too. I've talked to a lot of people, even some in the Discord, that have been like, you know, I'll send them a card to try to snipe, and they'll say, oh, you know what, it's going to end too high, I'm not even going to go for it, right? But I can tell you that somehow, some way, there's great cards that have a lot of growth or even are worth way more than they go for an auction that sometimes just slip through the cracks. So, I mean, watch 100 auctions and bid on them all. And if you win 2 and you get them at a great price, then that's awesome.
Yeah, great point, man. Because I would say that if there's any chance that you are going to not be around for that final second right there and put in that bid, because you can press that place bid button down to 1 second, and you taught me this, Steve, and it'll still go through. That wheel will spin for almost a minute, but finally it'll go through. And I would say if there's only a couple bids on the auction, I would do that, right? And I don't know if you mentioned this. I was scrolling through chats and looking up auctions, but once you place your bid and there's only a couple other bids on there, it's going to send a notification to the other person saying that they've been outbid. And if there's like 15 minutes yet left, just like you said, it's like, yeah, no, I want that card. Like, I'm going to go raise my bid. But if you wait to the last 2 seconds and they think I'm golden, man, I put in my bid earlier, blah, blah, blah. But they weren't like real serious about getting it. They were going to just try and get it, snipe it for super low, like we do here a lot of times. Then, you know, you come in there last 2 seconds, boom, you hit it with your max bid, which is serious. Like, you want to seriously get it, and you snipe it and you get it, and they have no chance to respond.
And a great thing about the last minute bid too is that a lot of people are bidding up increments at a time. Whereas you're just coming in with your top price, whatever you're comfortable with paying right at the end. So like you said, if there's not a lot of action on the card already, you have a much elevated chance of winning the auction versus someone who maybe just was bidding up $1 every time they got outbid.
Man, there is a ton of 2021 Prism auctions ending right now. I mean, there's a waddle, but it's that orange cracked ice. So this is like one of those base short print parallel inserts from the Fanatics blaster. You got like one from every pack. There's the bang game footage. That's a nice touchdown from JJ.
Have you picked up any Prism yet, Andy?
I've got one, actually. I've got one in the mail here, and that's the first one. But I plan on picking up more. Because I'll be honest with you, I am a big fan of the design. I've just been waiting for some of the initial product hype to cool off to kind of pick up some guys that I like. So, yeah, like I definitely want to. One of the running backs, you know, we talked about running backs, but one of my favorite running backs heading into the season that's a second-year running back that we didn't even see at all last year is Travis Etienne. He was just so dominant, so explosive in college. I can't wait to hopefully see him harness some of that same energy for the Jags in that Doug Peterson offense. I think it could be electric, and it'll definitely catch people by surprise based on where I'm seeing Travis Etienne go in drafts right now. Whether it's a dynasty startup or whether it's a best ball or whether it's a seasonal redraft, he's one of my guys that I'm definitely looking to invest in before the season.
You know, you never want to say that an injury was a good thing, but if he ever had to miss a season, last season was probably a good one to miss because that whole organization was just a hot mess. And, you've got former players, suing the organization. Like what was the kicker's name? It was the kicker or the punter. I don't know if you remember. He said that the coach kick him or struck him or whatever.
Yeah. There was, I can't remember the kicker or the punter, but yeah, he definitely filed grievances against Urban Meyer. It was like emotional abuse. Like Urban Meyer was mentally abusing, which I'm not surprised. Like he was dragging the team down big time. Like,
normally I would say that seems speculative, but with everything we've heard about the organization and all that, there he goes, Josh Lambo.
That's right.
Yeah. And, here's the thing you got to wonder is it going to be a 1-year turnaround? Can these guys from that dumpster fire, as Shano Matt called it, can the dumpster fire be extinguished and blossom after just 1 year of that hot mess that they were in? Or is it going to take a year or two? So I think that's the ultimate question. Etienne is probably of the Jags, maybe like the safest play to rebound.
Yeah, I mean he's an incredible receiving back as well. So and you have the whole college connection with Trevor Lawrence, and this is going to be a totally revamped offense. I mean, I really do think we're going to see night and day offense here. They're going to play faster. They're going to throw the ball more. I think that Travis Etienne was incredibly explosive. I looked at his college stats. He had some of the most forced missed tackles in college football. We're talking about yards per carry, explosive play rate ability is just insane, right? And check this out. The Jags open their season up against the Commanders. Then they play the Colts. Then the Chargers, the Eagles. But if we just focus on week 1, we've seen the nobody team come out and have a dominant week 1 because week 1 is when the hype is the highest. So if I'm buying Travis Etienne cards within the next month and then selling them in preseason, whether it's, when they play the Raiders August 4th, the Browns August 12th, maybe Etienne breaks off a 70-yard run, does some explosive stuff. Then we've seen hype spike in the preseason, or week 1 when hype is absolutely at its highest for the regular NFL season. We could see it right there against the Commanders, a very realistic scenario of 1 p.m. in Washington that the Jags break out. I mean, and that could be led by Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne show. So,
yeah, and he's got that kind of that delay in hype because he did have the injury last year. But look at a guy like Dobbins who also missed a lot of last year with an injury, but his cards are starting to go for quite a lot of money. So Etienne's cards aren't cheap by any means, but they're definitely lagging behind. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the team that he's on.
Look how far the base prisms have already fallen so far. I even saw Justin Fields, Steve, close for under $5. It's pretty wild.
Jeez. I've only picked up one so far, and it was a PC card of the Bears. It was a Walter Payton silver, which was a beautiful card. I picked it up for $3.50.
Nice, very nice.
Just
Shout out to
nice little something to display.
Yeah, before I head on to the next question, shout out to Josh Williams from Down Home Sports Card IG. What is going on? We are doing great tonight. Annoy says Sean Alexander might make the Hall of Fame this year. The retired Seattle Seahawks running back. His cards are very collectible, in my opinion. I know a lot of people post some nice Sean Alexander cards on IG. So I think, and I've talked to Jeremy Lee about this from Sports Card Live because he's been doing card shows for many, 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 many years and studied vintage cards and Hall of Famers. And he says it's not actually when the Hall of Fame induction happens that their cards peak. It's when the Hall of Fame induction announcement happens. So when they're announced as a Hall of Fame first ballot that they're going to be inducted, that's when the cards spike. That's when the news, the press release comes out, and that's when people get that notification. They read that article, and people will go and collect his cards at an elevated rate for a short amount of time. There'll be a nice little spike there.
Trying to see. I actually looked this up the other day because I was curious.
While you're looking that up, I'm going to shout out to Francesco here. The card market is all based of hype. It doesn't make any sense. Well, it is different. This is very different than fantasy football or football, but it's also the same because there's a lot of hype when it comes to the way people draft certain players in fantasy drafts, the way people gamble on certain teams. It's all based on hype. And basically what hype is just a way to measure expectations. Like there's a certain, like we're expecting the Bills to be the number one team in the NFL. That's their expectation. That's their hype level heading into the season. You combine that expectation with how big the market size is, how often they're being pumped out by ESPN or NFL Network, or how big like their TV market size is, how many beat reporters they have reporting on them, like the Dallas Cowboys, the Patriots, the Bears, these teams, the Jets, the Giants, they have a lot of beat reporters. They have a lot of media scrutiny. They get more press coverage, more TV time than the Bills do. So it counterbalances itself a little bit that way. But this all leads to hype, man. This all leads to hype, high-octane offense. We go right now in the offseason, we're going based on what we know these players did in the past and the coaching changes, the personnel changes, and we're trying to project what they're going to do the upcoming year. But that's all hype, man. And you see your best sales based on hype, even more so than like a lot of times when they actually step foot on the field.
Andy, you were having me check on the 2022 Hall of Fame class.
Oh, right on.
According to ProFootballHallOfFame.com, apparently they've already announced the elected class of 2022. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I got 8 names. I've got, let's see here, Tony Baselli. I've got, wait a minute, Branch. Would that be Deion Branch, I'm assuming?
Yeah, probably Deion Branch.
Butler, who is Leroy Butler. McNally. Not sure who McNally is. Mills. I'm looking at the semifinalist sheet, and these guys aren't even on there. And then we've got Richard Seymour, Dick Vermeil, and Bryant Young.
I think I got a picture pulled up of him here. Boom. Check that out. Interesting. Yeah, do not see Sean Alexander on there. That doesn't mean that he may be a finalist unless they've already announced the class. Meet more on the newest members. Yeah, no, this is Pro Football Hall of Fame right here. Breaking 8 enshrinees are headed to Canton this August as part of the Hall of Fame class of 2022. I do not see Sean Alexander on there.
Sean Alexander was a nominee in September. But he did not make it to the semifinal list. So that doesn't mean that, that he won't be next year or the year after. But there's some interesting names on there, and I think they're worth mentioning. Torrey Holt, Eddie George, Anquan Bolden, Jared Allen, Rondé Barber, Steve Smith, Hines Ward, Reggie Wayne. So, I mean,
wow.
Those are some probably a lot of guys that we watched early in the advent of fantasy football, at least for us at our age. Reggie Wayne. I mean, how can you forget Reggie Wayne?
How can you forget Eddie George or Steve Smith or Jared Allen? A lot of those guys are household names for me, man. Those are guys I've watched a lot of. That's awesome, man.
Steve Smith. I mean, he was like the number one wideout for how many years in fantasy football? And did he ever even have a good quarterback? Not really.
That aggression, man. He played with that passion, that fire. I like the heat that Steve Smith brings to the field, man. So let's see what Jack Farhi said here. Jack Farhi, hopefully I'm saying the last name right. Jay, we're just gonna call you Jay because you got a big purple J. We got to get you a profile pic, man. But we say, he says, can I ask you how you do all that low end and expect to make a nice chunk of profit? Because I feel like with big cards, you make big money. With small cards, you make small chunks of money. Well, you're very, very accurate. Very accurate statement here. That is very true.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is definitely valid. I do agree, but there are a little bit of a difference between investing in let's say a $1 card versus a $100 card. And let's say it's an optic base of a running back, and you can buy 10 of them for $1 each because you just have that feeling this guy's breaking out, right? Well, when he breaks out, the card is probably going to be $7 to $10, maybe $5 on the low end. Whereas that really rare card, let's say it's a national treasure or whatever, might already have some of that cost value baked into it because it's such a rare set, because it's comes out of a box that's 12 grand or whatever the case is. So you're able to buy in less and then get a good multiplier out of it. No one's saying you can't make money off of high end cards. You absolutely can. But if the guy busts, being out $10 versus being out $100 on a single card is a pretty substantial difference.
It's all about entry price point, right? The ROI percentage is going to be nice, but what's your budget? Obviously, Jack, if you have $1,000 budget, then yeah, I'd recommend that you probably buy somewhere in the neighborhood of a $50 to $100 card, buy in low. So if you're talking skill position player, you can get a nice numbered out of 25 autograph card of a skill position guy that's maybe going in the 5th to 10th round of your fantasy draft that has the potential to finish in the first round. That's the kind of card, whether they get a big QB upgrade or whether they get to have a spike performance week, whether they make it to the playoffs and have a very relevant performance there, all of a sudden that card could double, triple, or more in value. We saw it happen on many, many guys last year. And this could happen on a week-to-week basis. We see people reacting to performance, reaching for cards and buy it now. That's why I'm a big advocate of buy it now, just like Steve is. But if your budget's only $100, then go buy a base optic Dak Prescott. Go buy, a base prism. Go buy a base prism of some of these guys that are undervalued and play that game because you work your way up. It's like the $1 or the $5 challenge. You work your way up. There's a guy that started out with a paperclip on Craigslist. I'm pretty sure he ended up with like a Corvette.
A car, yeah, I remember that.
So, this is a true story, man, and people have actually done this with cards. Like, this is one of my goals in the future when I do start going to card shows and stuff, is doing this $5, $10 challenge and seeing what I can get up to over the course of a day with starting out with that little bit of money. Because I think if you do it right, man, you can continue to build up. It just takes time, and it all starts with what your budget is, because you don't want to over leverage yourself, right? You don't want to spend. It's like, spending your rent money on playing fantasy football. You don't want to do that. You don't want to spend that rent money on anything but rent. But if you have some disposable income to invest in the hobby, that's where it all starts. What's the size of your budget? Take a little chunk of that, like 10, 15%. And that's what you play with. That's how you decide what kind of cards you're going to get into. And so some people have to start out with base cards and entry level cards. That's fine. Some people get to jump right in to the higher end cards. Ultimately, I think there is a sweet spot if you can swing it. If you can get into those autographed cards of skill position players for like around $20 to $30, that is what I've found the most success in, because I've gotten in there and then sold for like 60 to 80. Now all of a sudden, it's making it worth your time, right? Of packaging that card up, of doing the listing, taking the picture, your photograph, that entire buying, selling cycle, especially on eBay. I don't know, Steve, the total combined time that you spent researching, then buying the listing, then unboxing it, and then taking a picture of it, and then relisting it, and then when it sells, packaging it up and taking it to the post office, maybe a total of an hour of your time. Like, obviously not all at once. It was, it only takes you a minute to go to the mailbox, get it out, unbox it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the most fun part, is like researching it, buying it, getting it, unboxing absolutely. It, looking at it. And then it's like, I know for me, like, I've got a lot of cards sitting here on my desk. It's just because I'm a much better content creator than I am a card flipper per se, because I create so much content. But if I didn't, like, I was actually focused 100% on like establishing a car dealer business, then I would have all my cards listed, but I don't. I have hundreds of cards sitting here that aren't listed, but I digress.
I think pertaining to what you just said, like, I know myself, I'm a busy guy. A lot of us have jobs, families, etc. And sometimes you do build up a little mountain of cards you got to list. And I think one thing that I would advise that worked for me is rather than being like, I have to list all these cards, right? Pick a stack of 20, take the pictures, go on there, write the listings, upload them as you go. I mean, just do it casually. Don't overwhelm yourself. It can be time consuming, but I definitely think that there's investment points for everyone. And I'm going to back up what Andy said too. You can buy a lot of $1 optic rookies, let's say, or even optic variant rookies, and then see a nice multiplier on them. I can tell you I had Mike Williams. I had Cooper Kupp. I flipped them during last season for quite a good amount of money. And I wasn't even thinking about where their rookie ticket autos were. It wasn't feasible for me to buy a large amount of cards of a player that was $40, $50 on a speculative buy. So it's going to be on your budget. But if you're just kind of like wanting to gamble a little bit, want to see where you could, turn a profit on a guy that you have a feeling about, you don't always have to roll with the big card.
Boom. Yeah, and Bob nailed it here, man. If your research doesn't start off right and you're not picking the right players, you're still spinning your wheels at any level. Very, very, very true. I've got a really interesting, and I want you guys to participate in this question in the chat. This question is shout out to Sean. Him and I talked about this last night, and his question is, all right, I'm going to present you with an ultimatum. And this was not part of our show sheet, Steve, or maybe it was. I wrote this down, and I think I sent it to you, but this is not part of the show sheet that 402. Shout out to our awesome content director, 402 Collector. Appreciate you, bro. Would you rather have this 2021 green scope? I think this is super short print or maybe serial numbered. Yeah, serial number 10 out of 25, all right? I'm not going to tell you the price point on these yet, because I want you to pick between these two cards. Would you rather have this 2021 green prism, green scope, autographed Aaron Rodgers, number 10 out of 25, or a PSA 8 Topps Chrome rookie card of Rodgers? Which one would you pick?
Ooh, man.
And you don't know the price point.
Are you talking about if someone were just to like offer me either one of these?
Yes, basically. Yeah, if someone were to offer you either one of these, which one would you take? And like which one do you think would have a higher resale value?
I know that those chromes are very desirable. I've actually really wanted to get one myself. I would actually go with the color match auto personally. I think that there's just a lot more going for it. And not to say that 8 is a terrible grade for 2005, but I would say if I'm going to personally go for a Rodgers rookie, even one like Chrome or even more scarce, I would probably grade chase and go 9 or better.
9 or better. Now, what if I told you, though, this card costs the same exact amount as the 10 out of 25 Green Scope 2021 Prism Auto?
Yeah, I would still go with that. I mean...
and you were forced to buy one of them. All right, so I'm going to zoom out and show you the price.
Wow.
$659 OBO, so maybe you can get it for a little bit cheaper. And this one is $650 OBO. So same exact price.
Yeah, for those that don't know, that the Topps Chrome Rodgers rookies are, even in raw condition, I'm pretty sure they're at $250 at least.
It is a sticker auto.
That's a shame.
But he's in it. You know, the one thing I hate about this, he's in some daggone practice shorts, man. Practice shorts, practice jersey. But I get it. It's iconic. It's a Topps Chrome brand from the mid-2000s when these cards were printed with a high level of quality, and they're pretty rare. It's hard to get them in good grades. So even a PSA 8 from 2005 is a solid card. Like, that's a nice card, right? I mean, if you found one of these in your shoebox, chances are you're going to come back at an 8, maybe less. I don't know. I know it's going to be a really tough grade. I mean, it's kind of a coin toss. But it's a really interesting question. I see a lot of people out in the chat are kind of torn on it. I see Rodney saying pass on the sticker auto. Now that people are seeing that it's a sticker auto, I'm seeing a lot more passes on it. They go with the rookie. So it's interesting, right? It's an interesting dilemma. Maybe if it was on-card auto, maybe the
I think from two different perspectives that the answer could change. I think from a PC perspective, like if the caveat was I was hanging on to the card for the rest of my life, I would probably go with the green. I'd go with the auto. From an investment standpoint, I would probably go with the rookie, though.
Francesco, unless you are actually Aaron Rodgers and we can take a picture of that and then make a card out of that, now that would be cool. Or maybe you're a famous social media content creator like Gary Vee. Like Gary Vee could pull that off. Maybe it would be worth thousands. Otherwise, no. And I know you're joking. So
Aaron Rodgers body double with auto.
Funny stuff. Mark Spelt said earlier, with the supposed new look offense for the Vikings, so they did bring over Kevin O'Connell, the former Rams offensive coordinator. So we're expecting him to play faster, more high-octane offense, more passing, more explosiveness, more red zone opportunities. We like this for the Vikings. Do you think Kine Nwagnu, who is a second-year player, he's a rookie last year, running back, can get a lot more offensive snaps? Steve, what say you?
I would say at the rate of play, he could see the field more. But I think that you also have to consider that Madison, at least for now, is still the primary backup. So I would be a little bit concerned about number of opportunities. I think that they'll still be limited, even though there will be more opportunities. But I still think he'll be limited just because he's probably third in line right now. Now, pending any injuries, definitely. But there's a lot of skill on that team, a lot of and only a certain amount of opportunity to spread it out.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. It's ultimately it's Dalvin Cook, it's Alexander Madison, right? And more passing play, and you got this guy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Justin Jefferson, but he's their wide receiver one. He's pretty good.
And you got Adam Thielen coming back from injury, Irv Smith coming back from injury. The coaches have already said that they really want to make him a focal point of the offense. You've got guys that are already pegged for big roles. So I think that unless they start using Cook out of the slot, which they have talked about doing, then you gotta figure this guy's probably still third in the pecking order.
But he is an interesting prospect, and if you can't get his cards dirt cheap, that's the thing that we advocate on this channel. If he's a dynasty stash, which a guy of this athletic profile is considered a dynasty stash, then why not go ahead and buy a Silver Prism auto for $10? You know what I'm saying? Because if anything, he's definitely he's a special teamer. So he's going to be kick returns. Why do you not put a guy that's got a 99 percentile, 97 percentile, highly adjusted speed score, back returning punts and kicks when you got Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison as running back? I think that's what you do here, even though he didn't really do anything in college much. I mean, he's like a special teams guy. I think you put him – I think that's exactly what you do with him. But, hey, can he return a kick, return a punt in a critical situation, or get some serious buzz based on that? Yeah, he sure can. And I think if he's a dynasty stash, you stash him. You stash him in your sports card investment portfolio for cheap.
I mean, you got to look no further than a guy named D'Ernest Johnson, who had a 1-game breakout, and then his cards exploded over the course of one evening, right? And he had nowhere near the athletic workout metric profile that this gentleman does. So, I mean, one thing about investing is there doesn't always need to be like a 100% clear path to starting, but he makes one start and goes off, and you can definitely see a massive gain. I mean,
it's the right time.
Johnson rookie ticket autos probably got him around $5, $5 to $8, maybe on the high end. And that evening, I saw him going for $80. I saw some going for $100. Now, obviously, they came back down to earth, but your opportunity window was right there.
So the right time, right place, right opportunity. Let me paint this picture for you, Steve, because Kirk Cousins is 0-8 on Monday Night Football over the past several years, right? Terrible. And however, they don't have any Monday Night Footballs. They said they weren't going to do it to Kirk this year. They feel bad for him. They do have a game overseas. They do have a Thursday night game at the beginning of the season, September 19th, week 2, maybe Thursday or Sunday night. Maybe this Sunday night against the Eagles. So NFC battle. Keeney could save Kirk Cousins' butt in that game at night with a kick return at the end of the game to win the game. And Kirk Cousins finally gets a primetime win. And, we can suddenly see some spike. I mean, you could see the buzz. That's what happened to Dearness Johnson. However, it wasn't even nearly as glamorous. In fact, they got destroyed by the Patriots, but Dearness Johnson still held his own and put up solid numbers in a Thursday night game. That was people like, whoa, look at this cat. He was like breaking tackles all over the place and just putting it all out there, man, and played really well. And because they have such limited cards, because their draft capital wasn't spent on them, and basically all he had was a rookie ticket auto. It was all people had to buy, and the supply quickly disappeared, and the demand went through the roof. And sure enough, that rookie ticket auto went from $5-10 to close to $100, but it was very short-lived. Came back down to earth as soon as Nick Chubb came back, Kareem Hunt came back, Dearness Johnson was relegated back to third-string duties. So,
I want to point something out, Andy. If you could go back to the previous gentleman. So if you did notice, if you've bought any product of the 2021 draft class, there's quite a few good sets, Spectra, Prism, a few others that actually have purple parallels. So you can definitely grab yourself a nice color match, let's say a Spectra or whatever, or even a Mosaic has a purple parallel. And that might be a nice little pickup for you, because when the bell tolls and it's time to sell those guys, like they're going to look for the eye appeal, and the eye appeal is going to be on a color match card before anything else.
Yeah. Like I like the silver prism that almost looks purple. Nice purple, $5.68 free shipping. That's not bad. But where you can do that when you can boom, purple ice, 198 out of 225. Even got they're already planning for it to go under $20 with the 95-cent shipping. There's a snipe for you to watch in Sunday night. Boom.
The purple cracked ice look amazing.
We got one ending tonight. Look at that. The football card quest gods have spoken, Steve. We have a Kine in Wagnu. Shout out. Who is that? Mark. That was Mark. Shout out to Mark there for that question. Brooke has got a question that I do not know the answer to. I'm going to see if you know the answer to this one, Steve. Who's the second most winningest college FBS QB behind only Kellen Moore? And it's not Taylor or Adrian Martinez. I'm going
to say that's a Brandon R. Carter question. That's deep college football knowledge. I'm more of above average college football knowledge. That's a deep question right there.
I wonder if Google knows.
Ooh, okay. Live research. I'm digging it. While you're doing that, one of the reasons I started looking for 2021 purple parallels, my dad is a huge Vikings fan. Grew up somewhere where they didn't have a sports team, so they only had Minnesota games. And I was able to get him a nice Dante Culpepper Spectra meta, Andy. I like those metas numbered out of 25 with a patch. I was able to grab it for $8. Beautiful card.
Oh, very nice, patch. Man.
But yeah, I'm glad. Actually, Prism there's at least 2 purples. You saw the cracked ice, which looks amazing. And then you've got the flat purple, which is out of 125. The cracked ice is 225, I believe. So you're still looking at serial numbered on both, but it's nice because I think you have the Ravens and you have the Vikings as far as teams that match up perfectly.
Gotta love Google. Looks like we got an answer here. Is it Colt McCoy?
Oh.
Is it Colt McCoy?
Oh, it looks like Brandon confirmed.
Andy Dalton, the Horned Frogs. David Green, Peyton Manning, Tennessee. There you go. So I think it's going to be Colt McCoy. Shout out to Dr. Google for that assist.
I like a couple guys on that list.
Oh, yeah. One of them really jumped out to me. The Manning. Do you hear that? Arch Manning committed to Texas today. The Texas Longhorns. This is a big deal, Steve. It looks like he's going to be coming out of the 2024 draft class. And I thought this was, I was like, is that Eli's son? Because it kind of looks like, no, this is the nephew. This is Eli and Peyton's nephew. Their other brother, we lost him. He says, too much to handle. Too much to handle. Arch Manning committed to Texas. This is crazy, man. It's crazy. He's going to be coming out of the 2024 draft class. There was another guy. This is the interesting, guys. There is a set out there from Onyx. Steve, welcome back. I know there's a lot to handle with Arch Manning committing to Texas. It's a big deal, man. 2024 draft class. I was just saying there's a set out there called Onyx that is made. I think it's by Onyx Auto. I'm going to see if they have any Arch Manning cards because these are like, and it's obviously not going to be. Oh, yeah. See? Like, snap, man. Look at that, man. There's a little Arch Manning here. We got the little Arch Manning sniper opportunity for y'all. I was sold already. But let's see. I'm on sold. All right, let's get off of sold. Arch Manning. The old Archie Manning. There he is right there. No, it's Eli. Why do we get Eli? Man, we'd be putting Eli on the Onyx this year. No, that's Onyx Vintage. Here's a little Arch Man. $250. Holy crap.
That's a little bit of a pricey 8x10.
That's probably so what's interesting about it, Carter told me this, is that he's unanimously picked as the top college QB prospect. There was something about, where he's at in his current college career. And forgive me, I'm not 100% knowledgeable on this topic. But he said what's weird about this is that he is unanimously considered a top recruit across the entire country. However, Carter feels that he's overrated. He feels that when you study his film, he is not as good as people are saying. And I think a lot of that, like we talked about this earlier, the whole James Cook, Dalvin Cook thing, right?
Sure.
That's what we're seeing here with Arch Manning. And I think that Arch Manning could be just because of the name recognition, one of the most hyped quarterbacks heading into the draft that you have ever seen in your life. And what's interesting is that Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, also plays quarterback at Jackson State, in Jackson, Mississippi. And he's got an autograph card. And he's also a quarterback with like an 80th percentile scouting grade. And, of course, it's Deion Sanders' son. So this is another deep college prospect. But these guys do have some stuff out in the wild. As you just saw, there is some autograph college cards that could be had for these very young, highly name-touted, recognized prospects that are going to be coming into the 2024 draft class. I just find it very interesting.
Definitely a deep dive. It's a situation worth monitoring. I mean, if he does pan out, though, I mean, that only boosts his value that much more. If he does become a superstar and he has the Manning name, that does boost him up a lot more. And again, we talked about this a week or two ago about guys improve, guys grow, their body's still growing and maturing at that age. So I think that, where they're at now and where they'll be in 2 to 5 years is still hypothetically could be drastically different.
Boom! Gabe Davis hit us with a snipe of his own card. 2 minutes left. This is not bad, man. If you really believe in Gabe Davis this year, recapturing some of that AFC Championship game magic, this is a solid. Oh, it's up to 46.51 now.
I remember just about what was it, 5-6 months ago when we were grabbing those for like around $20.
Yes, sir. That's right, man. We touted him a lot. We talked about him. I put out videos on him going back to his rookie season. And I hope that you were able to get some exposure. Can we talk about some modern NFL news? We talk while this is ending in a minute and a half. I think we can cover this topic. Halo's finest, 88. My man says, "How you feeling about Gronk retire?" You know what? I'm celebrating for Gronk.
I would love to start on that one if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think Gronk is partying right now. He's like,
you know,
what you think, Steve?
I mean, we live in a time where like everything is overblown in Hollywood and whatnot. I mean, did we not forget that Brady retired recently and then came back, right? And I think that's probably the case, realistically. I think he plays another year, at least until Brady's done. But, you know, we talked about the Brady thing, and I said the entire time I thought he was coming back. I had friends that were like, just get over it, man. They thought I was not connected with reality because I couldn't let Brady go. No, it was just that I didn't think he was done, and I don't think Gronk's done either.
Not getting behind the podium. What's so funny is he did it through an Instagram post, not too dissimilar from what Tom Brady did. And the guy's a 33-year-old tight end. Do you think he wants to be out there grinding wind sprints, running routes in the middle of summer? Guys, I kid you not, at the beginning of this live stream when I told that story earlier about me mowing the lawn, that's a true story, man. It is hot, dude. I was drenched after 10, 15 minutes. I live in Tampa, Florida down here. It is hot, man. It is really hot. It is really humid. And it's like, you know, I mean, Gronk is like, he's like, call me up when it's time to play kind of thing. And if he's retired, it's easy for him to get out of that.
And there's guys that you might say said they were retiring, and it's believable, but he's got the same QB, almost the same team that he's coming back to. He could come back like in the middle of the preseason and not really miss a beat. You know what I mean? He's not like, it's not going to take a lot for him to get dialed in. The man is still practicing at the stadium. He's still training at the stadium. So you got to just realize that we're seeing patterns here. We're seeing patterns here. And until you see him in a press conference, calling it and hanging it up, then you can take it seriously.
So check it out. UnderdogFantasy.com, guys, just opened up their puppy but super flex. Gotta love it, man. All right, this is a total prize pool of 55,944 entrants, or total contestants in this prize pool. Only a $5 entry. If you're new to Underdog, we're talking about best ball fantasy. So it's a format where you draft a team, right? And then that's it. That's it. They optimize your lineup for you on a weekly basis. It's just like a super flex season-long format, but with a big bench. It's 18 rounds. You draft your team, and that's it. It's perfect for us guys that are in the hobby, that are into card investing, because we don't want to take that time maybe on a weekly basis to spend 3-4 hours every Saturday, every Sunday doing roster start sit decisions. They're going to automatically optimize your lineup on a weekly basis, give you the most amount of points per position. And with promo code QUEST, you get a 100% instant deposit bonus up to $100 in Underdog Fantasy. It's flat out fun, Steve. And you get to see where the hype is at for current players. And you get to discover players that are going at value in these drafts. It opens your eyes to where guys are going and the ADPs, which is pretty much directly correlated right now in the offseason with how players are being hyped, especially in a super flex league when there's a premium placed on quarterbacks because you can potentially start 2 per week. The whole reason me showing you this, guys, is 1, to let you know this is open. 2, it's going to fill up quick. 3, if you're new, you should definitely try it out. Plus, we're affiliated. It helps out the channel. You have fun, help out the channel. It's a win-win scenario, and you'll literally get free entries into this, and it's going to fill up quick. It's already at 8,000. It was like 4,000 earlier. First place has a chance to win $50,000 at the end of the year. First place will win $50,000. You can see the prize pool. I did my first one earlier. I drafted in the 5th spot. I was caught off guard. Shout out to Derek. He let me know in the chat, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get in there. I jumped in one immediately and went Lamar Jackson, Trey Lance, CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts, Zeke, Bateman, Jacobs in the 7th. Didn't mean to get Michael Thomas. That was an auto pick. Chase Claypool was an auto pick, but got Mariota, Olave, got Rashad Penny in the 12th.
I like that Rashad Penny pick there.
Yeah, right? In the 12th. Love it. Jameson Williams, Nyheim Hines the 14th, DJ Chark, Curtis Samuel, Tyrion Davis-Price in the 17th. We talked about him earlier. Devin Duvernay in the 18th. Got another handcuff. And then I got Gronk in the second to last round. I basically got him for free.
Right out of my playbook, Andy.
So this is what happened. Gronk was going in the 9th and 10th round around Dawson Knox, Dallas Goedert levels. Now all the way at the end. And just incredible value. This is what Steve did last year, and he won his league. Like, he didn't win the $50,000. He wasn't in the Best Ball Mania or the Puppy Superflex, but he was in a private one. We could do private ones on here too with just 12 of us. And he won that sucker, man. He won that sucker because guess what? He drafted Brady at the very last round, and then he came back.
Gronk and Brady, the last 2 rounds.
Boom.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So
yeah, I'm doing one right now. I'm doing the regular best ball one on Underdog with the 8-hour draft time. It is a little bit, if you're impatient, it is a little bit, it'll test you a little bit. But I feel like the 30 seconds is too short. Unless you have 2 hours to sit at the computer, but you're making bang decisions, especially if you're on a sandwich pick. So the 8 hours is kind of beneficial. And Andy did mention this earlier, but it does help the channel out if you guys sign up for Underdog, and you do up to $100 on the deposit match if you're new to Underdog. So consider trying that out. We do some best ball drafts on here. I would definitely love to get another one going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you after we sign off here if you're available this weekend, because I wanted, literally this thing's going to fill up quick, man. It was only at 4,000 entries earlier this afternoon. It's already at 8,000, dude. So, and it's only going to take 55 total. So I'm guessing it's going to fill up in a matter of 2 weeks. So I'd like to get in as many as possible. So we're going to try and if you're available this weekend, I mean, it's so hot outside, I think we can maybe swing 1 or 2.
And Andy, you've mentioned this in previous weeks, but I've seen this mentioned by other content creators, is the guy that won the Best Ball Mania last year drafted his team in June.
That's right.
And there's a reason why that's significant is, as camp shakes up and you get a better idea of where guys are going to fall on depth charts and stuff like that, there's not as much variance in ADP, right? But if you're taking a guy, for example, in the last round that ends up being the tight end 3, well, you have a distinct advantage over everyone else that maybe didn't, draft as well as you did.
Exactly. Because right now, people are getting it twisted on certain players. Like we talked about Travis Etienne. Saquon Barkley is another guy. If you can look past his injury history, he's going way too low. Excuse me. Cam Akers is going way too low. Josh Jacobs is going super low. There's a lot of value to be had. There's even value to be had in certain quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, I think, is going way too low. Trubisky's still going way too low. I could go on. There's a lot of values, but we'll spin one up this weekend. That'll be fun. Gabe Davis has got a question for you here, Steve.
Sure.
Well, actually, I guess this is for me, because he's asking, when will the gentleman on the right realize he left his stickers on his hat?
Oh, that would be me. Yeah, I guess you have to go and watch the Key and Peele sketch on new hats. If you haven't seen it, you'll understand. It's definitely an exaggerated version of why people leave the stickers on the hats. But if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend everyone watch it.
It drives my wife crazy, too. She hates it if I leave a sticker on a hat.
Oh, shit. Andy, you've stepped into some kind of parallel universe where you're in my room.
It's a scam. It's a scam. The whole channel's a scam. I'm actually in Steve's room with him right now. Come on in, Steve.
Now, it is worth noting, you will run into people that not only leave the hologram on the hat, but leave the price tag on the hat. Now, that one irks me because who cares, right? Unless you walked out of the store with it illegally, why do you still have the price tag on it? Just me. Yeah.
No, that's I think that's where you cross the line.
I've seen we might have to incorporate it into one of the episodes, maybe into the intro with that Key and Peele sketch. But it talks about the price tag. It talks about leaving the full blown hanging tag, with the NFL logo and the cardboard attachment on it and everything. So, and it goes way beyond that to levels that I wouldn't even do justice trying to explain.
Rodney Moore wants to know, does the Hitman have a YouTube channel?
I do not, but I'm thinking maybe sometime before the football season, I want to start doing like I might be starting up just like a pregame show, just something quick where I'm predicting winners before kickoff, and that'll be pre-recorded. Most likely, if it works out, Andy and I will be doing like a pre-kickoff, like 30 minutes before kickoff show, like we did last season. So, but yeah, sometime in the near future, I'm planning like just like a kind of like football predictions, pre-recorded, top 5 finishes this week, stuff like that.
Nice. I like it. Fast, actionable advice. I think that's something that we can definitely pull off this year. I think Obsidian needs more love too, man. It's the dark side of the force, of the hobby force, and it's a powerful set, man. I like it. I do like the design.
They look great, and they do have a certain level of color match appeal. The etch cards, where they look like a base card, but the background etching is a certain color. There's orange, there's purple. I don't remember all the other colors, but the rare case hits, which is the white contras. I mean, you could literally pull almost any player, and those are going to be sought after by either a PC or investor. So. In fact, I had one for the snipe tonight, but let's see if it's still viable. Time may have passed. Let's see.
Well, shout out to Tom Bullard in the chat. We have our hobby guitarist out there. Looks like a bass guitar. He's jamming out there on his picture. Good stuff, Tom. Mark Spells. Start buying Adrian Peterson for his Hall of Fame induction. I have to think he's done. Yeah, I do. Although he still looks to be in really good shape and like he could play again. With all that good young running back talent in the league. Very true. Obviously, Adrian Peterson, one of the all-time greats. And I love his rookie year product. We talked about that late 2009, like mid to late 2009 product. It's fantastic, man. If you can find a deal, absolutely safe investment there. Especially when we're talking about that hype spiking at the Hall of Fame induction. I love it, man. Messiah says he's all in on Elijah Mitchell. I think Elijah Mitchell has gone underdrafted, has gone undervalued in fantasy drafts. And so I think you could potentially find him. Because Elijah Mitchell's like guy, if he stays healthy, like there's no reason why he can't break 1,000-yard season in a San Francisco 49 offense with a big market, like solid defense. They should be right back in the thick of it for a playoff run. Now they are in a difficult division with the Rams and the Cardinals, but they've got some great coaching there set up for their run game.
Yeah, and I think the thing with him that you could bank on is that it's not going to change his role on the team, regardless of who's throwing the ball. So I think that kind of makes him a pretty safe investment. I think that you've already seen the floor. I do agree with what was said earlier that he's definitely a candidate for going over 1,000. He did it in such a few amount of games last year that he could kind of be a guy that surprises people that maybe shouldn't this year.
And you don't have to hold him all season long or think you have to hold him for long term, multiple years. Like, excuse me, guys, drink a beer. But Messiah says RTAs as little as $20. I mean, that's fantastic, dude, because I'm seeing a lot of his rookie ticket autos that are in buy it nows are 40, 30, 35, but plus $5 tax. So the lowest one I'm seeing is 40. Those will disappear pretty quick off a spike game, week 1 or week 2, something like that. All of a sudden, the next ones are at 60. It's not a super common card. And Elijah Mitchell, not drafted till the 6th round, has a lot fewer cards than other guys that were drafted well ahead of him, like Najee Harris. There's going to be 1,000 fewer cards than Najee Harris has because of the draft capital that was spent on him compared to Elijah Mitchell. And on a spike game with that big market size in San Fran, man, that card could pop. No doubt about it. So
yeah, I mean, just look at Austin Eckler. We used him as an example a few weeks ago at the price of his cards, and a lot of that has to do with that there's just not many rookies for him. Not that there's that few for Elijah Mitchell, but there is few in comparison to other running backs from the same draft year.
Oh, wow, man. We're talking about the predecessor to Elijah Mitchell and Raheem Mostert now in Miami. I don't think he's going to make a huge comeback. Now, I do think he's going to have an opportunity to because of Mike McDaniels, coming from the 49ers, their former offensive coordinator. He's going to take a lot of that Kyle Shanahan philosophy to the Miami Dolphins. They improved the offensive line. They brought in all these running backs because they're expecting to probably go through a couple of them. Raheem Mostert is like 30 now. He's obviously got a rap sheet of injuries. But he is going to get some opportunities. He's obviously not going to be the RB1 like that's Chase Edmonds. But, obviously there's injury risk to all running backs. Raheem Mostert's going to get a couple carries per game, going to get some opportunities, and potentially could pop a couple, man. He could pop a couple big runs because he is fast if he stays healthy.
Don't forget they have Phillip Lindsay. Don't forget they have Myles Gaskin. And, while you can say, oh, well, those guys aren't bell cows, they're all going to be involved in some way.
Did Phillip Lindsay sign with I thought he signed with the Colts.
Let me double check. I thought
no, they have Myles Gaskin, or Savon Ahmed,
right.
who's like their RB4. Myles Gaskin, Sony Michel,
he was with the Dolphins at the end of last
Raheem Mostert. They literally have 5 running backs, so they're probably going to cut one of them. I'm guessing it's going to be Savon Ahmed, but it could be one of Mostert or Michelle. Could be. They're paying Chase Edmonds a pretty penny. Like they're paying him a solid deal. He's getting paid the most. It's like close to like a $10 million deal. So I think spread across 2 to 3 years, whereas Michelle and Mostert deals are like 1 year, prove it type deals. And Myles Gaskin still on his rookie contract, 2019 rookie. So 5 running backs, deep depth chart. But, of course, Mike McDaniels plans on doing a lot of, we could even see Tyreek Hill getting handoffs. This is what a lot of people don't realize. Mike McDaniels got a lot of that Kyle Shanahan philosophy. Don't be surprised if Tyreek Hill really explodes coming out of the gate, too, based on the fact that he could get some handoffs. He could get a lot of short and intermediate passes. That's kind of like where Tua is better at, Tua definitely needs to be set up in that way. He's not a big deep ball guy. So, hey, I think that's what Mike McDaniels is going to try and set him up with. And we could see, a lot of Tyreek Hill being used in like a Deebo Samuel type of role. Now, Tyreek Hill does have a smear on his record. He's got a asterisk next to his name because of the crap that he's done off the field, domestic violence, child abuse, stuff that he's done before, that it's like, he was like proven guilty in the domestic violence thing when he was in college. He got kicked out of was it Oklahoma? I think it was. He got kicked out of the school he was in, and he was arrested, and he was charged, and he had to do 2 years of probation, which consisted of anger management classes and stuff like that. So that's why you'll see like Tyreek Hill's cards haven't been valued as much as they could have been when he was like on a Hall of Fame track record with Patrick Mahomes.
And I think that what you're saying is valid, and I think that it actually opens a couple doors to invest in him. I think that there's a segment of the hobby, and maybe it's the investment side more than the PC side, but you have a lot of people think that he's going to drastically fall off simply because he went from Mahomes to Tua, and I don't necessarily think that that's true. It'll just be a little bit of a different gameplay style, but I don't think that necessarily limits his capabilities, or even by having Jalen Waddle on the other side, I don't think that limits anything. And I think out of the running backs, you mentioned his name. What's the cat's name? The Myles Gaskin, I think is actually maybe the most intriguing out of the group. I've actually seen a lot of his cards going for a decent buck still, and he's probably going to stick. They don't owe him a lot of money, and he'll probably get some good opportunities, especially in the passing game.
Yeah, man, very real. We talked about Marlon Mack a little bit earlier, Josh, but I mean, I'm a Marlon Mack fan. First, he's a USF alumni. That's college here in Tampa. So I like Marlon Mack. He's also been explosive. He's broken out with the Colts before in 2019. Is unfortunately tore his Achilles, and then he got behind Jonathan Taylor. So it's like He really hasn't gotten any opportunity to prove himself. He's now another year removed from the Achilles. Now he is going to get his shot. Like, this is his shot to prove himself. Of course, it's not going to be a top-tier offensive line, and he is going to have backfield competition with we talked about him earlier, Damien Pierce, right? So he's going to have some backfield competition with the young dude that's full of juice out of University of Florida. So Marlon Mack's really going to have to come bring it, but I think he's going to get some opportunity, some potential red zone work, passing down work. He's all purpose. Let's see what he's got, man. I think he could pop a little bit.
I could see it being like 70-30 the first couple weeks, and then closer to 50-50 after maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Boom. Bush Leaguers hit it right here. So much fun. Check it out, guys. Underdogfantasy.com. Promo code QUEST gets you that 100% instant deposit bonus. No, Billy, he didn't retire from the Pats. He's not really retired. He's coming back, bro. Look at this. You heard it right here. Derek knows what's up. Drafting Gronk, last round of every best ball draft. Easy money. Do it.
Yeah, the risk versus reward of getting him in the last round. If you just go with a 3 tight end draft, taking him as your 3rd tight end, in the worst case scenario that he doesn't play, which is a small chance in my opinion, totally worth it. But if he does play, you got a first round tight end in the last round of the draft.
Shout out to the Bills Mafia, man. Jason Van Castle in the house. Gabe David said he gave his card a kiss after he signed it, and he hopes to see him week 1. I love it, man. I love it.
Gabe with the breakout season, man. We're really excited about you. I'm sure you know that by now.
Yeah, I know Gronk had back issues coming into the league. Like he had to get back surgery from his college days, but I think Brady can convince him to come back one more year. We have one more question I did want to get to. Our fellow YouTube content creator out there. Wait. National Cards. Okay. Boggy had a question in the Discord. Do you think the upcoming National Card Show will have an effect on card sales one way or the other? I do have a take on this.
I'm going to go with most likely to yes, somewhere in that range. If you guys have watched any of the big hobby content creators for football this week, they have been buying almost exclusively, and they have used the National as far as gauging interest for the National as their reason. And I think that when you see the big content creators buying a lot, and you see them buying specific players, specific sets, yada, 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 that's going to stick in most people's heads. And they're going to be like, these guys are buying that. That's what I should be buying. Right. So I think that does play a huge role on that. I'm not necessarily saying that go ahead and emulate everything you see, but do use discernment, do a little research in the guys you're buying. Don't just buy guys because guys on YouTube are. But I definitely think that it does have a big correlation, because those are the guys throwing around 10s, 20s, hundreds of thousands of dollars, buying lots, people's entire collections. So that does have merit. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're spending money at a much higher budget tier than I'm at. What I found at the National last year, Steve, is maybe it's just that. Maybe it's they're buying these super high-end cards, whether it's big collections, that kind of stuff. But at the National, there's a lot of people there. It's the biggest card show of the year, which leaves a lot of people not on eBay. And last year, I did a couple eBay sniper videos showing the auctions that we were getting on eBay. I pointed out a bunch. I won a bunch. I sniped some cards super low while all these other people were at the National. So just like on holidays are a great time to hunt on eBay, so is the Nationals. Just keep that in mind. There's a good chance a lot of your eBay competition is going to be at a card show, and that means that you can capitalize.
Interesting fact. I think, Andy, that's the first video of yours that I watched that brought me to the channel here. So interesting fact on that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you think about if there's 25 guys bidding on a Mac Jones rookie ticket auto, Probably at least half of them are these large, buyers that are buying for their store or buying for their eBay store or whatever the case is. And they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of capital to throw around. Whereas, maybe you only have 500, right? Or 1,000. So they're going to be in on every auction that they can where they think they can turn a profit, even if it's $50. They don't need to. They only need to sell volume, whereas you might need to sell at a larger clip, per card.
Caleb, I don't know what's going on, man. I think we make you cry, as in make you cry laughing. Gaskin. No, you're good, dude, Caleb. I haven't seen you say anything nefarious or too terrible, so no, I'm not going to block you, man. You're good.
Hook it up. Get you a profile pick.
There you go. Get you a profile pick. This next question is from Ziggy No. You guys may know him. He is the fellow YouTuber I was talking about. And his question for you, Steve, is which 2021 rookie quarterback will be the next Daniel Jones or Josh Rosen? So which one of these 2021 quarterbacks do you think is going to be a bust?
Well, I'd like to point out that while Josh Rosen may be one of the worst QB drafts in recent memory, Daniel Jones is still a starter in the league. So I do understand where the direction of the question was going, but I'm going to say here's the thing. Kenny Pickett, I think, is a consensus guy that was drafted because of the safety of his skill point. A lot of people are thinking that he's just the most mature, safe pick. Plus, he was picked, in my opinion, as a nepotism pick just because Pittsburgh. But guys that I'm just really not high on are Matt Corral and Malik Willis. I know that that might not be the most popular thing in the chat. I know we got some Malik Willis fans, but when I see him play, I think Geno Smith or I think Tavares Jackson, right? Elite athletes, freakishly fast, but maybe not the best in a real game situation. And that's just kind of what I'm seeing with him. So I'm going to go, if I had to pick one out of the group, I think it's actually Malik Willis.
Okay, but we were talking about 2021 rookie quarterbacks. So...
Oh, you're talking about like Mac Jones and sorry, man.
Yeah, that class. The last
totally dropped the ball on that.
No, that's good. Good 2022 analysis, right?
Yeah,
there.
We got ahead of that one. So next year, that's the answer, by the way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got to say, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not going to say Justin Fields, but he could be in that conversation. And my concern is maybe not that he's bad, but the team around him is so bad. I'm worried that he's just going to get destroyed by the lack of offensive line. And, without his mobility, he's maybe not going to be the same guy anymore. But I think that the most obvious one to me is probably the least popular answer. And I just haven't seen enough from Trevor Lawrence yet. There's been a lot of 1.1 draft picks that have never lived up to their draft position. And maybe it was just coaching last year. Maybe it was just the lack of supporting cast. Or maybe he just doesn't have it at the pro level. We haven't seen that yet, but he could hypothetically be that guy. I personally haven't got in big on him, and as far as investing in his cards, I think they are still a little bit overinflated. I think Mac Jones cards are overinflated, but Mac Jones has won some football games, so at least he's got that going for him.
Yep. Josh wants us to do a freshman and sophomore wideouts boom or bust. I didn't do a boom or bust. I did undervalued sophomores that I would target in 2021 Prism. My pick would actually be Zach Wilson. I would say if any of them, I'd probably Zach Wilson just because, look how quick people jump ship on Zach Wilson last year when he got injured and Mike White came in, and led the team to a win. It's like, this is crazy. I mean, they jump ship so hard on a 2017 or 2018 rookie. Mike White is. They didn't have hardly any draft pedigree, not a great college profile, anything either. I mean, it was like every single Jets fan was like immediately was like, oh no, see you, Zach, we're good, we found our guy. So if I had to guess any of them, it's Zach Wilson, and part of it is because he's under so much pressure and he's expected to do so much at such such an early age at such a quick pace. And I'm just not convinced that the coaching is good enough. Now, this is a big year for him, right? Much better supporting cast. So, but if any of them, I think it could be Zach Wilson, especially if you talk about Daniel Jones, another guy, big market. They've expected him to do a lot. And his supporting cast is like constantly injured, or he's injured, or the coaching was bad. The coaching was terrible. So, but this year, big fan of Brian Dable, big year for Daniel Jones, big year for Zach Wilson with all the weapons they added. So, big years for all these guys. I feel bad for Justin Fields. You're right. I mean, that guy could be done with his rookie contract, like hobbling, like David Carr out there, like sacked 600 times, so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've heard good things out of camp as far as his progression in the offseason, which is outstanding. That's what you want to hear as a Bears fan. But you can't negate the fact that the line is just really bad. And, unless they find a way, some kind of zone blocking scheme or some crazy nonsense to protect him or to run faster plays. They did say that he's getting the ball out of his hand quicker. So hopefully that's going to be a help. I did want to touch on the Zach Wilson thing. I mean, he didn't look that great last year, but I will say that the last few games he did look improved. Now, can he carry that on, or was that an anomaly, right? So, I said, what's his name? Trevor Lawrence. We'll see if it was coaching. And then you said Zach Wilson. We'll see if it was lack of supporting cast. So there are mitigating factors, but I think that that's part of what makes the hobby exciting, right? Because you don't know. But unfortunately, with QB prospecting, you have people that overinflate the position as far as investment purposes go. So if one of them goes bust, there's going to be a lot of upset people.
I don't think the Jets are going to get past the Ravens. Sorry, JP. I do agree with you here that there is a lot of pressure on Trey Lance as well. A lot of pressure with how much they spent on him. The first round capital, the draft capital that they traded, the 2 future first round picks. I mean, they spent a lot of capital on him. So there is a lot of pressure. That's a big market out there. Talk about the West Coast. San Francisco arguably has the biggest market in terms of size of the fan base. They've been there forever. They have a long-standing reputation for quarterbacks. Let's see. I think we got time for one more question here. And we kind of talked about this earlier. So it was Ziggy and his question. Well, we didn't talk about this one. So we talked about Bowman first. I think we hit on this question. My whole thing is if they're going to print that set, first of all, they should have captured all the good rookies. And second of all, they should have stuck to just the Bowman Chrome U. Like, they didn't need to make a base paper one, have multiple photo variations. It's like, come on, guys. Like, load the hit rate up, get it right.
Unfortunately, Andy, they're using the same layout as they use for baseball. So you do have the paper product as the primary card, and then the Bowman Chrome is essentially like a hit, right? Rather than all the cards be Chrome, rather than print Bowman Chrome and Bowman, they print Bowman and then they incorporate Chrome into the Bowman print run. So
they got it wrong.
I think in regards to the question, though, I think it's too soon to say if people regard a Bowman first as a true rookie. I don't think it is currently, and I don't think that it will be anytime soon. But if they take the set more seriously in the future, print all the actual seniors or juniors that get drafted and actually put a legit Bowman first set together, it could be taken seriously in the future. But I think that this is kind of like we're still in a testing the waters phase.
Yeah. All right. Last question from Honey Nut here in our mailbag. Who do you think, and so this is the opposite question what we just talked about, who do you think will be eventually the best quarterback out of the 2021 class?
Well, I had wrote it on my notes on the 2022 quarterbacks on accident, but that's an interesting one. And you know what? I'm going to take an opposite take. I think it could be Zach Wilson, and it might not be that he's the most skilled of the three guys, but he's in the best position. They have a sound running game. They have a lot of Breece Hall at running back. They have a lot of receivers all of a sudden. And I think they're maybe like a really good tight end away from being like maybe a high-end octane offense. I would go with him, honestly. He's not going to be superstar status, but he could at least be an above average cornerstone on a team that could stick around the league for 8-10 years. Kyle Trask. I hope it's Justin Fields. I do. I just want to see him survive 3 seasons at this point.
Kyle Trask, man, hey, something to be said. It could be Kellen Mond. He had the most winningest FBS record ahead of Colt McCoy, but obviously Colt McCoy hasn't exactly panned out as an elite NFL quarterback. He is a serviceable backup. But I don't know. Yeah, man, honestly, it's so interesting. Honestly, if I had to pick one of the 2021 guys, I mean, I have to go with Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones, maybe. Obviously, Trey Lance has got the rushing floor, but we saw some decision-making concerns. We saw some injury concerns. That's kind of that same thing going on with Zach Wilson. You have that similar scenario, obviously, with Justin Fields, with how long he was trying to hold the ball last year, with how bad that offensive line was. Davis Mills, I do think, has probably the best throwing mechanics I've seen out of any of these 2021 guys. Mac Jones has the best combination of like that Tom Brady-esque type of thing going on, obviously Bill Belichick and that whole deal. Plus, he went to school with the best college head coach in Nick Saban at Alabama, and he got all that under his belt. And so he does have some very interesting attributes and throwing characteristics there that could be interesting down the road. I don't know. Are we talking about wins? Are we talking about fantasy production? Are we talking about highlight reel type of plays? Like, I guess it all depends. But some of the plays that Trevor Lawrence made coming down the stretch last year were incredible. And it showed you like that, what he was capable of. And if you go and watch his Clemson highlights, it's insane. So I'm really hoping that all these guys they added, Doug Peterson, we can see a big difference in the Trevor Lawrence offense this year. Honestly, I probably have to go with him as of right now.
And I, we talked about this before. I'm not as high on any of these guys compared to a lot of the 2020 guys that we got spoiled with. But that being said, let's just be realistic that this was all of their rookie years. So you can't really write anybody off just yet, unless they were just outright atrocious, which none of them were really outright atrocious. They were definitely subpar. But I mean, some of the best players of our time, like Peyton Manning, had awful rookie years. So, to call one of them Peyton Manning is definitely premature by a long shot, but you can't necessarily say that they're developmentally there at their prime where they're going to be.
This is a great question. And I think the answer is yes. Right away, right? Like if we've got Blaine Gabbert, for example, on a backup quarterback salary, the thing is that the Bucs aren't going to do is go out and pay a guy like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, like make one of those Aaron Rodgers, make like one of those crazy big blockbuster trades, because Jason Light is a smart GM. He understands the value of having a quarterback on a rookie contract and then being able to pay up for all these skill position players, all these supporting cast characters. He understands the value of a good offensive line. That's why they drafted Tristan Wirfs, and that's why they built the squad the way they have. And that's why we were able to pull in Tom Brady. Tom Brady wouldn't have come to Tampa if we didn't have the supporting cast to support him, right? And so I think they understand that. I think he understands that. So I've been really impressed with Jason Light, the way he's managed the team the last couple of years. I think that Kyle Trask would get a starting opportunity once Brady retires, probably after this year, after the Super Bowl.
And I agree. And the people that aren't high on Trask are going to look at his whatever he did in college, or they're going to look at his metrics on PFF and whatever. But the thing that you can't measure is the things he's learning from Brady, right? And he did that last year, and he's going to do that again this year. And that's something that's an immeasurable metric, just like Aaron Rodgers learned behind Favre, right? So does that mean he's going to be the next Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? No, but that means that he has potential to be good or to be great, because he's entering a system loaded with talent, as long as they stick around, and he's learned from arguably the best quarterback of our generation, if not all time.
Yeah. Great points, man. I don't know what I'm really on the fence. I've written up Rondale Moore before. Question here from JP. They scaled back his usage a lot coming down the stretch last year, Steve. And the reports that I've heard from NFL insiders is that Rondale Moore had shaky hands and he wasn't reliable deep. They scaled back his usage. They got rid of Christian Kirk, but they've lost DeAndre Hopkins the first 6 weeks, but they bring in Marquise Brown. And I think Marquise Brown lines up on the outside. Marquise Brown, he's incredibly fast, deep ball threat. So I like Rondale Moore, like production from the slot as like a little Jamison Crowder type of guy. He is very electric, very fast. I'm just concerned about him getting a lot of targets over Marquise Brown, over Zach Ertz, maybe Trey McBride now. You still got the plethora of running backs there, James Conner, Keontae Ingram, which I don't know if we talked about him earlier, but he's a rookie running back that I like. What's your thoughts on Rondale Moore? AJ Green's still playing too, and then you get Hopkins back in week 7.
AJ Green, when he was not injured last year, was actually really serviceable, even from a fantasy perspective. I don't dislike Rondale Moore, but I would temper your expectations on a week-to-week basis for fantasy purposes. But he is a guy that can have some boom weeks. And if you've followed card sales on Sundays during or after football games, a lot of that is sparked by big plays or sparked by big games. So, if a guy yanks in a 70-yard touchdown in the first half and you have a card of his listed, there's a good shot you got at selling it before the game's over. So that being said, he is the kind of guy that can have a boom game, boom quarter, whatever the case is, and sell a couple cards. I did read that same thing that you said about them scaling his usage back. The thing you have to consider is he probably falls in maybe 4th in the pecking order. So that's really not ideal, but it's a high octane offense. They're going to chuck the ball and they're going to chuck the ball far. So he's a guy that you want to at least have a piece of.
Yeah, and what I like a lot about the Cardinals is that they have one of the top 5 fastest pace of plays. Cliff Kingsbury loves to go hurry up offense. And they run on average 10 to 20 more plays than other teams in the NFL. They have a very high passive play. So that's going to lead to more opportunities, flat out, more opportunities, more targets, get the ball in the guy's hands. We did see him make some electric plays last year. And so, hey, most year 2 breakouts don't have a top 36 season in their rookie year. So it's very likely he could take a big step forward this year if you want to take some gambles. Like if you can get a rookie ticket auto Rondale Moore for $10 to $20, not a bad idea.
And since we're talking about Arizona, Andy, for those that don't know, Andy does write up a player or an auction sniper article every Friday. And one of those was on Eno Benjamin a few months ago. And the word around camp is that he's actually supplanting the rookie running back as the number 2 running back. And that's definitely, in an offense like that, a guy that you want to have a piece of. There's rookie ticket autos still going between $5 and $7 on them.
That's good news, man. See, that's how ADP goes up. When ADP goes up in the offseason, demand for the rookie cards go up. So I want more news coming out like that because I got a couple Eno Benjamin rookie ticket autos. You're right. He does not have hardly any rookie cards. It's rookie ticket autos where it's at. I dig it, man. All right, guys, we're over.
I know we went a little long on time, but I did send you a Amon Ra. I'm going to send you 2 Amon Ra's for the gentleman asking about him in the chat a little while ago, and one more that's going to end in a little bit. But at the price, Andy, I think you're going to definitely recommend someone going in on this card here.
Boom. Got a couple snipes with you guys here before we get out of here. A Phoenix Yellow Amon-Ra St. Brown, 40 out of 75. Nice. Almost looks gold, man. Almost
it does.
Looks gold there.
Yeah, I like the look, and I think that the the blue looks good against the gold, yellow, whatever you want to call it. Look at that.
CeeDee Lamb. XRC, man. XRC's a very rare cards. So the grade here of the 9 is not bad. I really like that design as well. $57. Nice.
That's a steal at that price. I don't think it ends around there, but there's only 8 bids on it, so it could slip through the cracks.
Could slip through the cracks. Let's see what else you got for me here.
Went with 3 receivers this evening.
3 receivers, and it's horizontally formatted, but it does have 3 colors in the patch. So I know, like the multicolored, is 13 out of 50, and wow, okay, the price point's really good. So yeah,
and worth noting, Andy, that it's the same seller as the other Amon-Ra, so you can save on shipping if you end up winning both of them.
Hoodies, nice. I dig it. Very nice, Steve. Very nice. All right, guys. I appreciate that. We'll hit you up on IG. We'll see you in the Discord server. We'll see you in the next stream. Very, very confident, 99% confident we can get a best ball stream going this weekend. Superflex, you can get in it with us, guys. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code Quest. Go ahead and get signed up. Get ready, because once we get in this thing, you hop in, you draft with us, you get a chance to win 50 grand. You also get a 100% instant deposit bonus, and we have some fun. We draft, we look at ADPs, draft a fun squad. Let's do it. Let's go.
Great chatting with you guys. Andy, it's been a blast.
Yes, sir. It has.
Good evening, guys. Peace.
Peace.